Hello, my name is Eugene. Before the podcast starts, I want to let you know where you can find our podcast. We're on all podcast platforms, so make sure to follow and subscribe to our channels as well as give us that 5-star rating. You can also check us out on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock to get updates about episodes and previews of our show. All of the links can be found in our description. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome back to the Spin the Rock podcast. I am your host, Angel, and with me today are my co-hosts.
Eugene?
On.
All right, today is a special Sunday because for the first time ever, we're fully only talking about, well, not only, but we're delving into college basketball a lot more than just like it's happening. So we have a lot planned today. It's a mostly open discussion. So we do have some news first. Probably the thing that I feel like everyone was excited for. Isaiah Thomas got a 10-day with the Phoenix Suns. What do you guys think about this? How does it make you feel?
Oh, as an IT fan, right here, the just a big part of my love of the game came from this guy. So I know he's been fighting to get back in the NBA for quite a while. So it's nice to see him come back in some sort of capacity. But at the same time, it's a 10-day contract. He's had these in the past, be it the Hornets, the Pelicans, um, and it usually doesn't translate to a full contract for the rest of the season. Uh, but it is nice to see him back. I can't say much more than that, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool to see him back in the league, but I think it's a little, like too little, too late kind of situation, with him being much older than, the last time we've seen him in the NBA. And he's on a pretty stacked Suns team at that. So, I mean, hopefully he gets a contract, but, with how the season's shaping out right now, especially for the Suns, they don't really necessarily need him per se. He might just fill out that point guard position, whether that's a rotational or even starting position, to help out spacing. But yeah, it's cool to see, but I think it's just a little too. I think it's a little too late for uh him on the Suns and just him in general.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I know it is kind of quicker than usual too because he was on in the G League and then he was like got that 10-day pretty quickly. So it is good to see him back in the NBA, but yeah, like you guys said, it might not translate to him like fully being back. Especially with a lot of times teams just kind of like they kind of do him dirty often. Like the Nuggets have done it before. Like he gets very like he gets picked up frequently. It's just this time it's a little more exciting because of how long it's been since he last got picked up. But who knows? Definitely rooting for him. It's definitely will be nice to see him be a vet, or maybe even see him in the playoffs, or even just a minute would be kind of fire to see.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, going from really good news to really bad news, Donovan Mitchell was officially ineligible for any award because of the 65 game rule. He missed, I think it was a week ago, he missed like his last game. Yeah. 6 days ago, he missed his last game. So he's officially ineligible. What do you guys think of the first ineligibility being such a big star?
I mean, me personally, I feel like I'm not gonna say like I'm not surprised, but it was gonna be someone big star, star worthy or whatever. But it I guess the bigger question was gonna be who.
Yeah.
Um, am I surprised that it was Donovan Mitchell? Kind of, sort of, not really, because he is kind of injury prone. I don't know if that's what kept him out of it per se, or if it was just load management kind of thing, or if he just simply doesn't care about the
Yeah.
NBA awards. But I do find it surprising that it was a little bit surprising that it was Donovan Mitchell being the first one ineligible.
I'm not gonna lie, I was completely surprised. I thought Embiid was gonna get announced any second now. Like I was like, okay, here it comes. Like any minute now, Embiid's gonna be ineligible. But like, I'm actually really surprised. It's Donovan Mitchell is the first one.
Like Joel Embiid, saw like IG pages have like a tracker for how many days he's missed and when his ineligibility is gonna like come up. But ever since he went down with that injury, like those stopped because I think they just assumed he was out for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
But yeah, Donovan Mitchell being the first, would not have predicted that ever. Now, on one hand, you could just say he's getting locked in for playoffs. He doesn't have to worry about like anticipation for those awards. But had he won one, I think he would have appreciated it. Especially, I don't know if it's applied to him yet, if he's won enough All NBAs, but it does affect your contract. But who knows if he already met the requirements for that. But it also kind of makes the All NBA teams a bit easier to choose. I mean, if you don't have Donovan Mitchell, you got the next guy up, and it could be a Tyrese Maxey who would have gotten snubbed, and now he's in it. Gives chance other guys who've been more consistent to win the award, which is fine with me. But it does suck that you lose a superstar like him just due to ineligibility. But we want to see more players play more games, so that's just the consequence of that.
yeah. I think it's very interesting too to see I feel like because Donovan Mitchell was the first, like I'm not gonna say he's not as popular, but I feel like I'm kind of surprised that there hasn't been as big as a reaction to it. Like I was kind of expecting like once the first star like got announced for being ineligible, like everyone would be like, "Oh, I hate this rule," or "Oh, tisk tisk," like should have played more games, But it's like it kind of seems like everyone was like, "Yup, it was bound to happen." So I'm actually very surprised that like that was the consensus. Maybe if a bigger star gets hit with it, then people will lose their minds. I'm just like surprised that like the media didn't jump on this. Like, oh, here's a guy who's averaging almost 30 points and he's no longer an All NBA guy. Like I was fully expecting that, but it kind of just seemed like no, it's like okay, like no one really cared.
I think a factor that plays into it is like he's on the Cavs, like a small market compared to another bigger team. But that's my thought process.
I was just gonna say, I think it's more of like he's like a I don't know how to put it, but for like lack of a better term, like a trustworthy player. Like if he's sitting out, there's a reason he's sitting out, kind of thing, rather than Kawhi sitting out for no reason. So I think that plays a part in it as well.
Yeah, I get that. All right, moving on. Rockets fans, I'm sorry. It's been official. Alperen Sengun is most likely out for the season. There's a possibility. Like, I don't think the Rockets can. But if they somehow sneak into the play-ins, he might be back for that. But like the way it's looking, he's probably out for the season. So how do you guys feel about this, especially after the season he's been having? How do y'all feel about this news?
If Rockets are smart, they'll keep him out for the season. They won't try to force him back. I mean, he's a big man with a leg injury. You don't want those to get worse or possibly open up to a worse injury down the line. I mean, if you bring him back for what? So you can get the 10th seed? Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing as Vaughn. I mean, it's unfortunate he had that injury. It could have been a lot worse. He could have been out, for the whole entirety of next season. But yeah, luckily it's not as bad as it could have been. But hopefully they just sit him because even if they do make the play-in, they're probably not doing a whole lot anyway. So hopefully he can get that rest that he deserves and come back better next season.
Yeah, I think the worst part about this is just like he was really on a roll, like on a tear, especially last year. Like like he was very like much like, oh, like he's doing great, but this year he still like took some steps forward. So it's like kind of sad to see, but like at the same time, like it's just best not to rush him back. Like the 10 seed is not that important if you're the Rockets. Like you're 4 games back behind like the Lakers. Like it's just best to just shut down your season, or even like maybe still try, but don't rush him back so
Mhm.
you can like get it for sure.
Especially, it just sucks that it happened this late too. Like if it was pre All-Star break or right after All-Star break, you know, he
Mm.
could have came back, but yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
Next up, Sadiq Bey, torn ACL. What do you guys think about this?
Well, it's the Hawks, so it's not like they're going to make noise regardless if they had him or not.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it sucks to have a major injury to a player on the year before he's got to sign his next big contract, because this is
Yeah.
just going to lower his value as he recuperates. And I thought Sadiq Bey was probably one of the brighter spots of the Hawks, being a forward that could shoot the three and play defense. Now, who's going to fill that for the Hawks? I couldn't even tell you. But I mean, not the most world-changing news, but it definitely sucks to see.
Yeah, for the Hawks, and I guess him personally too, because you know ACL injuries are pretty hard to come back from. So hopefully he comes back better. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it changes anything for the Hawks. You know, I'm not sure where they stand right now in the standings right now, but um, yeah, hopefully he just comes back better or at least the same. He
Yeah.
doesn't get worse after the injury. You know, nobody wants to see that.
Especially being a young player. He's only 24. So like he can like it's definitely like hopefully he'll get back. The Hawks, it's not I don't think it affects them at all, to be honest, because they're 10 seed. I'm pretty sure everyone above them is like pretty far ahead, if I'm not mistaken. So like I don't think it affects the Hawks too much, but it does like suck for him a whole lot because like
Mhm.
contract year, 24 years old, being a solid like player for a mid team, like I definitely could have gone him to a better team as a role player, but unfortunately might not be the case. And then lastly, Benedict Mathurin out for the entire season. I think what it was a shoulder issue. I just don't know, like if
Mhm.
it's like it's like a fractured shoulder or.
He tore his labrum in his shoulder,
Oh, okay.
in his
So
right
yeah,
shoulder.
how do you feel about this? Kind of like the opposite of the Rockets and the Hawks. They're actually in the chase to stay out of the play-ins and even get higher in the playoffs. So how do you feel about this news?
As a Benedict Mathurin fan
Mhm.
and former Pacers fan, it's a pretty big loss. He was starting, I'm pretty sure, most of the season. So that's a good. I think he's averaging 20 or close to 20 this season. So that's, you know, a big hit in the scoring factor. But they got Pascal, so they could probably lean on him a little bit more. They got Tyrese, obviously lean on him. They still got Miles. So a lot their game plan is gonna have to change a lot, but as what same with him as Sadiq Bey, hopefully he comes back better, recovers fast, you know, faster than normal. And we can see him hopefully play in the playoffs. I don't know how long that's supposed to last, but
Uh, that one hurts because I had, after in-season tournament, said Bucks don't want to see Pacers in the playoffs, but now that Buddy Hield's not there, and then you lose Benedict Mathurin, I think their offense is a little less dynamic. They're probably going to be leaning more on Halliburton, even more so. But you know, they still got good pieces in Siakam and Turner, like Eugene just said. But I don't know who's really going to fulfill that guard forward shooter now that those guys are gone. Like TJ McConnell's there, but he's short. He's more suited for a point guard role. And then Aaron Neesmith is probably best suited off the bench giving energy to the team when Kyrie sits, but they're just looking a little less dangerous than what I had expected they'd be going into playoffs with, which does suck. Especially when the Bucks could fall to 3, and then if Pacers maintain where they are, they could end up seeing the Bucks first round. It just depends on how the seeding goes in these last like 20 or so games. So maybe that prediction's out the window for me.
Yeah, it definitely sucks with how tight the race is right now for 1 through 8. They're only one game ahead of the 76ers, and they're only one game behind the Magic. So they're like, they could either fall all the way down to like 8th or climb up to like 4th. And so losing a player like that is like, at a time like this, is just not good, because this is when it starts to like drag. Like, so like losing someone so vital is just not the best thing to happen for a team like the Pacers. All right. And that is all of the news for today. We also want to do some standings because we missed last week, and I don't think we did it the week before. And a bit has changed. So I'll kick us off with the East, going 1 through 10. We have Celtics at 1, Bucks, Cavs, Knicks, Magic, Pacers, Heat, 76ers, Bulls, and Hawks. Just in general, who stands out to you the most, 1 through 15, either good or bad?
To me, it's the Bulls at 9. I thought they were like cooked. Like I thought they were out of in-season tournament or play-in tournament way early on. But Kobe White has surprisingly taken a jump and has been like consistent, which has been an issue with him. So that was nice to see. And DeMar doing DeMar things. Vooch is still Vooch, I guess. It's so hard to talk about the Bulls because I washed over them so quickly, and now I'm kind of playing catch up to see what their like bright spots on that team is. They're enough to get in that 9th seed, and with the Hawks, I think it's probably going to maintain that way.
Yeah, I'm kind of like exactly like you. I kind of just like saw the Bulls and I was like, okay, well, their season's over. And then like they didn't do anything again. So I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not paying attention to them now. After the trade deadline. And so it is very weird to see like them even be in playing contention, and also kind of like able to maybe sneak their way into 8th, but I kind of doubt it. But also, Kobe White is doing so good this year that he's making people mad about how most improved goes. Like they're making like people are actually caring about how who gets the most improved player because of Kobe White. So it's like insane to actually see them at 9th, especially just like with the way they've been handling their team. I think it's something we talked about before the podcast, if we want to put it in the news section or not. The Wizards somehow getting eliminated before the Pistons from the playoffs is actually insane.
Shout out JP, bro.
No, for real, because if you watch our tier list episode or even our predictions episode, we were kind of like excited for the Wizards. Maybe not like excited to the point where like they're gonna be good, but we're definitely gonna be like, it's gonna be fun, like who cares basketball. And we were right about the who cares basketball. We just weren't about the fun part. They're not fun to watch at all.
Like there's Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, Shaq and Kobe. No, bro, Shaq and Kobe being ass. Like they're hard to watch out there.
The one game that I watched, I think it was like super early in the season. It was Wizards and Pacers. Pacers blew them out the water, bro. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's times where they don't even hit 100, bro. And Jordan Poole is like coming off the bench most times. Like he flip flops between starter and bench. Like it's just, I feel so bad for the Wizards because like it could have been such an exciting time for them, at least a glimmer of hope. But like they're down bad. They're down worse than last year.
Do you think it's coaching or do you think it's players?
I think it's both.
They just gotta change it all up.
Yeah, because if you watch Jordan Poole play, he is nothing like he was on the Warriors. Especially last year, we were saying he was one of the better Warriors players. Because of like when they had that slow start, he was the only one actually like doing decent. And then if you watch him play now, it's like, bro, there's like no thoughts behind those eyes. Man looks miserable. He looks like he does not want to be in like on that bench on that court, bro.
Hey, who would be, bro? I wouldn't.
True. Well, like it could have been like a revenge tour, bro. It could have been like show everyone like, okay, like you thought I was out of the league, but I'm here to stay. But instead, it was like bricking from like mid range, like air balls
Yeah.
where he's shooting it from like the hip with no care to the world.
Right.
Like the only difference between like a Jordan Poole and a Ben Simmons right now is that Jordan Poole is actually playing games. You know, they're both
True.
on huge contracts on teams going nowhere, and they're both kind of just kind of stinking the place up, not who they used to be.
Mhm.
But you know, at least Jordan Poole's out there.
True. At least Jordan Poole's actually playing basketball. But yeah, I just think something's got to change with the Wizards organization because they've been like this for too long now.
Mm.
Before we move on to West, I also want to bring up the 76ers falling to 8th. Do you see them trying their way back up there, or do you think they're pretty much gonna be fighting for that play-in spot?
I don't
don't see
know.
them.
That's a pretty heavy fall because
Yeah.
they were top what 3, 4 this
Mhm.
entire season.
At one point, there were 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I don't really see them fighting for playing, but they might.
I just think it depends on what happens with like the top, with like the 3 teams above them.
Hmm.
Magic, Pacers, and Heat are all like pretty close to them. I don't see them catching up to the Knicks or Cavs or I don't see them touching top 4. If anything, they would fight for 5, 6, 7, but like I don't know if they can actually get that.
They're just fighting to stay above the Bulls right now. I think because
Yeah.
the problem is Joel Embiid's hurt. They either rush him to come back to try and climb in the standings, or they take the reasonable route and just go through the treatment process as they should to till it's complete. Which I don't know if that means he's out for the rest of the season, but to have him come back even at 100%, he's got to get back into rhythm. And there's only so many games left. It's kind of looking like they're a play-in team
Yeah.
with or without him.
All right. West standings. Who wants to take us to the West?
I
I can
got
do West. Okay, so we got the Thunder and the Nuggets tied for first, literally. Same exact record, 47-20. And then we got the Wolves at third, the Clippers at fourth, Pelicans at fifth, Kings at 6, Suns at 7, Mavericks at 8, Warriors at 9, and Lakers at 10.
It's looking like these are going to be our top 10 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the Rockets, Şengün's out. The Jazz, just I don't see them going on a crazy winning streak to climb. Grizzly and everyone else is just terrible. So these seem like our top 10 in the West. It's just the order.
Of that 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it hasn't really changed all that much, minus the Wolves. They're only a game behind, but minus the Wolves falling to 3, so it literally actually hasn't changed. And maybe the Warriors and Lakers keep flip flopping. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much set.
Yeah.
I think the only one I'm kind of surprised at is the Pelicans, considering early in the season they were fluctuating between being bad, being good, being like a play-in type team, and now they're like in that 5 spot, pretty solid.
I think for me, it's Kings and Clippers. I feel like Clippers. We kind of say this every time we do a standings talk, but like I thought at least with Russ being out, they would somewhat fall. No, they're still just rolling through, just keeping up that pace. And even Paul George has been struggling recently. So like I expected them to like at least fall to 6, but they just are trucking on, keeping up with not keeping up, but like holding that 4th seed. Nuggets 9-1 in our last 10. Like Michael Porter Jr. is like doing insane things. Jokic is being Jokic. Like I don't need to like talk about what he's doing, but like it's kind of becoming a team effort, which is kind of something I've always had always kind of ragged on the Nuggets for, is that like sometimes we have players just disappear, but like Jokic is so good that like we win games anyways. But it's looking like with MPJ and Murray and even like Aaron Gordon, who like I still don't like that much, they're all still performing this late into the season. And it seems like they kind of kicked it in, and they're even doing better with 9-1 in the last 10, and even might even take back the 1st seed, which I don't think they had the 1st seed all year this year.
No, I don't think so.
So it's like insane that we might like run away with it after all.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can't really say I'm surprised, but yeah, you make good points.
I was just gonna mention about the Clippers. I'm probably just as surprised as you with Russ being out. I haven't watched a single Clipper game this season, but you know they still got James Harden, they still got Kawhi Leonard. You know, Kawhi be doing Kawhi things. I'm sure James Harden been doing James Harden things. He's found his role with the team, things like that. So the Clippers have definitely surprised me, especially, you know, with the turmoil that they were going through when they first acquired James Harden. But yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of Clipper bandwagons now.
No, ever since they announced that rebrand in the stadium, all of a sudden people are Clippers fans, bro.
Right.
I think like where'd y'all come from?
Nah, that Intuit Dome though, it looks crazy. It looks crazy.
Yeah, they're going hard. They're trying to like what the owner said, like they're trying to have like a soccer type like fan section and allow smoking and shit like that. I'm like, what? Like, what is going on?
Bro, Steve Ballmer's he's a wild dude, but he's cool.
Just gotta shout out Bones Highland also is actually like finding his groove with the team. Norman Powell also is like just becoming a solid bench player. I'm pretty sure they had a win against. I mean, it was the Bulls, so like it's not like they should have won that game, but like Norman Powell had 18 points. Bones Highland had 12. Like I'm kind of like what's gonna happen in the playoffs with them. I'm kind of curious about that.
At least for the Clippers, among all these top 10 teams, I think they're the most boring team to watch. Given that they have so many like talent on there, they're not enjoyable, I feel like. Because a lot of it still is ISO ball. And James Harden is notorious for it.
And that's, how I was just going to say, you know how crazy that is to say with the Mavericks still being in that top 10. But
yeah, like at least the Mavericks, you have Luka, Kyrie, and even if you just watch those two, it's like super dynamic basketball between those two.
Bro, I might push back on that a little because I think the Warriors are the most boring in the top 10.
My hating energy, I love watching Warriors lose. So even those games I find more fun.
That's so funny. All right. Any other Western Conference teams?
I don't think so. Like we said, it's pretty set.
Yeah, okay. With the play-ins, how they're playing, we might have to bring back the play-in chase episode we did last year because it's just as exciting as before. But that concludes our NBA talk. We're now moving into our college basketball segment. First off, do either of you watch college basketball? Like, what's your knowledge on that? Like currently?
I'm March Madness. I'll at least watch around 10 or so games in the tournament, especially towards the later end.
Mm-hmm.
But for the rest of the college season, I don't tune in.
For myself, I'm actually watching the selection show right now. But in past years, I've watched a lot more college basketball because I've known, a lot more players. This is literally the first season where I'm not gonna know a single player drafted in the NBA draft, foreign or born in the U.S.
Yeah.
But as in terms of March Madness, I pretty much watch it every year. I make about 10, 15 or so brackets. Yeah, I'm pretty into March Madness, but I'll probably watch, about 4 or 5 first round games, probably the same second round, and then once the third round gets started, I'll probably pretty much watch every game going forward.
Yeah. I'm kind of like Vaughn. I'm sleep the entire normal season, regular season. I'm sleep even like the first few rounds. It's not until like the Sweet 16 where I actually start caring. Like that's when I actually start caring about March Madness. Kind of like with Eugene though. And I don't know about you, Vaughn, because you didn't bring it up, but like in the past, I have been super into it because I kind of liked getting excited for the prospects. The last time I really cared about a college season was like the John Morant, Zion Wilson, RJ Barrett. Like that season was the last time I was like, I'm watching college basketball, I'm watching March Madness. But ever since then, I kind of just stopped not caring, but stopped no caring. I'm not gonna lie. After that, I stopped caring because it was mostly just you can't beat that class. That class at the time was so hype. Like people who never talked basketball to me started talking about John Moran and Zion, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a goated class. But yeah, how about you, Vaughn? Did you ever watch in the past?
I think the first time I was super into it was when the Villanova took the title with the Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart,
Mm-hmm.
Dante DiVincenzo, those Villanova teams. But every now and then I'll find a player I really do like watching through the tournament. And I want to see him succeed. And I think the biggest example was Murray State, John Morant, because I didn't really hear of him until the tournament rolled around, and he was like a beast. Now this year I don't really have something comparable. The only college player I know right now is Hunter Dickinson, I think, on Kansas, because he was getting Joel Embiid comparisons, but that's the closest I've got.
Do you have a school then, Eugene? Right? Do you root for a school or?
Yeah, my school, San Diego State. We're fifth seed in our region, going against UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. So hopefully that's a good game. Hopefully we win and don't choke in the first round like we did a few years back. I think it was actually the COVID season, but yeah, that's who I'm gonna be cheering for. But March Madness is kind of just whatever. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
For me, I don't have a school. I mean, when I was in college, my school was D3. So even then, I didn't I never really had a team to root for. The last time I rooted for a team was when Markelle Fultz was playing. When I'll talk about more of that later because that kind of ties into another question. But yeah, that was the last time I was actually rooting for a team. Other than that, yeah, I kind of just root for whoever's for some reason doing good. That's usually how I do it with March Madness. How about you, Vaughn? Do you ever have a school or have a school currently?
No, I don't have a school I go for, but usually when tournament rolls around, I'll favor the underdog of each matchup. Like this year, I know Houston is probably a lock in the tournament, like they were last year. Their defense is crazy, so whoever they're facing, I'm kind of like going against, just because there's always that team, that sneaky team that comes in and wipes out a first seed or something. So those are kind of the highlights for me.
They're going against Longwood, by the way. Don't know who that is, but
never heard of it.
All right, and then oh yeah, like okay, so what do you think of college basketball in general? I know some NBA fans, they kind of like think it's boring, it's the same thing every year, like they don't really change anything. I know some people like love college basketball. Like, what do you like think of it? Like, what's generally your perception on college basketball?
I mean, for me, it's definitely fun to watch, but for some reason, as soon as it hits probably mid-February, it gets even more entertaining to watch because it's like, that's when the end of the regular season is coming. Teams are trying to fight their way for, a conference championship / get a ticket punch to the tournament. So it's like teams start to turn up even more, and then you start to see a lot of upsets that you wouldn't see in the regular season. So I'm never gonna call college basketball boring, but it is less entertaining than NBA basketball up until March. And then March is like the only time I actually like sit down and watch college basketball.
I think it's just because it's more team play oriented versus like superstars, Like instead of individual skill sets, it's game plans and, more of a defense, not oriented defense, but more well thought out plan for, they got schemes that probably have more emphasis than an NBA game,
Right. It's not centered around like a particular player for the most part.
Yeah. Like you probably the players you want to go to in clutch time to take hard shots, but it's not like that's the sole focus. Coaches are more important, not just for like winning games, but even just for developing a skill set among a team and its players. Like there's college farms specifically for NBA talent. It seems like, whether it be like a Kentucky or a Duke, Now, I, as only a March Madness viewer, I think part of the pull for me of college basketball in the tournament is just single elimination. Like you don't get that on this scale in many leagues, So this is kind of like that uniqueness of it that kind of draws me into it. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think one thing that college basketball will probably always have over NBA, at least for like a little bit longer, is just the atmosphere is like always just like a little bit better. Like regular season games, March Madness, it really doesn't matter because like those are people who are like they're actual fans of the team. Like it's not people who are like, oh, I'm just gonna go to a Nuggets game because like I have the Friday off, It's like people who are like, yeah, I am a Gonzaga fan. I am a Duke. Like my dad went to my great grandpa. Like, it's usually people who like are in love with that school. So I will say that college basketball always, to me, has always seemed like an atmosphere I wanted to translate to the NBA. Other than that, I think you guys kind of hit all the points. I don't think it's boring per se, but like I can see why people like say like it gets tiring because like I think the best way to put it is like NBA players talk about how when they watch a college game, like they're running plays that they ran when like they were at the school. So like I can definitely see like why some people can get tired of it. But like I personally, I don't think it's boring. It's just like not my cup of tea.
Hmm.
All right, and then we kind of already talked about our thoughts about March Madness. So I'm not going to ask you what do you think about March Madness as a tournament. So I'm going to ask, who is your favorite player? Who is your favorite college basketball player? Because that's completely different than NBA. So I kind of want to know if you have a favorite college basketball player.
I think the most highlights I've seen of any college player is Carmelo Anthony's Syracuse title run.
Mhm.
So I think he's up there for sure. Um, I think one that was kind of fun to see was Taco Fall, especially especially in his matchup against Zion Williamson. That
Mhm.
game was that game was tight, and you know it was just an exciting matchup to see.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of college basketball players that you could go with. Um, Mine is kind of on the older side as well. Uh, Very exciting to watch. I'm probably say Jimmer Fredette.
Mm.
That was Curry before Curry, bro. that was the original splash, bro. Jimmer Fredette at where did he go? BYU? I think it was
Yep.
BYU.
Mhm.
Um, he was stroking that thing, cuzzo.
Bro, I hate
um, he definitely brought the 3-point line, or he definitely made the 3-point line more exciting to watch in college basketball, because it's like, only there's a certain breed of players, that can do the things that him and, like, the Currys and the Damian Lillards can do. You know what I'm saying? Um, you can see it in high school, but then it's more elevated in college, especially because the line is a little bit further back in high school, and then on top of that, NBA line is even further than college. So
Mm.
um, I liked watching Jimmer when he was playing. Still watch his highlights here and there. He didn't do a whole lot, but it was just the fact that he could walk the ball up, cross the half court line, shoot from anywhere, and go in all net. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So, plus his run with BYU was pretty crazy, because they don't make the tournament often anyway. So,
That's a good choice because like not one-to-one comparison, but JJ Redick on Duke,
mhm,
that's a guy who is a shooter in the NBA versus Jimmer Fredette was a shooter in college. And it's kind of interesting to see their paths where Jimmer Fredette was BYU, where JJ Redick was just a part of the Duke program.
mhm.
So it's kind of like the star player uplifting his team versus, one guy in a long lineage of good players.
Mhm.
And it's crazy to see too, because like he never really had an NBA career, as in Jimmer.
Yeah.
But he's basically a legend in China.
That's
um,
usually how it goes.
yeah, it's just crazy to see, because like I don't know if it was like he was ahead of his time per se, but I just don't. I Maybe it was more of a that was the only thing he had in his bag.
Yeah.
Like he didn't really drive to the cup like that. He didn't really play defense. I don't know if that was because he didn't have to on BYU, or if that was just a weak spot in his game. Um, or maybe it was just a lot of like off the court issues that nobody knew about. But I don't know. I don't know why he didn't really make it into the NBA, but
Yeah. My favorite college player, I kind of already said it when I said like if I ever root for a school, Markel Fultz. I was all the way on the bandwagon of Markelle Fultz, bro. When he got drafted, I was like, the Sixers are gonna be unstoppable. Like, I was like, they're gonna win a ship for sure. I was like, Ben Simmons, Embiid, and Fultz, like, it's over. And then he like got that weird shoulder injury. But in college, bro, he was like jack of all trades. He could drive, he could shoot, he could pass. Like, he was really like that guy. And like, he could also like get up there. Like, it was like almost, it wasn't like Russ impressive where like he dunked with power, but it was still like impressive because he was smaller, but like he still was able to like be able to like dunk on you somehow. Like, he just
Mhm.
would just levitate. And like,
Right.
it wasn't like a flashy dunk or anything. It was a two-handed, like, just barely like got above you kind of dunk. But yeah, Markelle Fultz was definitely like my last time I was like I had a favorite college player. It was Markelle Fultz. I was so sad when like he didn't work out.
Yeah, he was definitely a killer in college. It just sucked to see like that he didn't translate. How do I put it? Like he didn't live up to his potential in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I thought he was gonna be a straight bust, because he basically wasn't on the Sixers.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad he has made a bounce back in his career with the Magic, and hopefully, he continues to propel, whether with them or just him as a basketball player, going forward. But yeah, he was definitely a killer in college. I can't say that I was on that bandwagon, but he was definitely a dude you didn't want to see.
I don't blame you because there was someone else in the draft class that like everyone else, like everybody loved. Like, if you weren't Fultz, you were that guy. I just don't remember who it was.
Let me see. You can go on. You can talk though.
I think just the thing about Fultz not translating the NBA is I think the Sixers probably aren't really good with young guys. It feels like, be it all their missed picks before Joel Embiid, be it Ben Simmons, they're not like emphasizing him shooting. And when Markelle Fultz was injured, they didn't sit him for a full season like they might have should have. And so they brought him too early and like shattered his confidence, which it took for him to get traded to Orlando to build back up,
Yeah.
Because like you go through Markelle's college, like just watch one game and you could see like he knew he was the guy,
Yeah.
like, and he knew his teammates relied on him, so he could build that trust between them, and like that kind of made him not only a good passer, good scorer, but I mean you've kind of already highlighted his game, but I think he just didn't feel like he was that guy in the NBA.
Yeah, I would love to see the universe where he just didn't have a mysterious shoulder injury, like
Out of nowhere.
out of nowhere. Like, I want to see that universe because he's still kind of plagued with injuries to this day. Like, there is some glimmer of hope every now and then, but like, I just don't think it'll ever pan out the way I want it to pan out, which is like what he was in college. Or even like what other people just want him to be like a solid role player now. And even then, like, that kind of seems like a lost cause because every time things start doing good, he gets injured again. And so it's just like it's kind of sad to see. It was Lonzo. Lonzo was that draft class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was, bro, the top 10 picks still play in the league right now. It was
Yeah.
Markelle, Lonzo, Tatum, Josh Jackson. Actually, I don't know about Josh Jackson. He was
No,
crazy
he's
in
not.
college.
He might be in G League.
De'Aaron Fox, Jonathan Isaac, Lauri Markkanen, Frank Ntilikina, Dennis Smith Jr., and Zach Collins.
Damn, we might have to do a tier list of ranking like the 10 draft class because you saying Frank Ntilikina, like, people were hyped for him, bro. People were calling him Frank the Tank. People were so excited for that man. We might have to do an episode where we look back on these draft classes.
That would be dope though.
Zach Collins, Malik Monk, like, we thought he was out of the league. Like, that's insane. Yeah. Anyways, okay, and then lastly, favorite moment of March Madness, just in general. If you don't want to do March Madness, you could do like just college basketball in general. But what has been a favorite moment of yours?
I gotta Google the year. Give me a second.
Okay, mine's a quick one. It's the Gordon Hayward would-be shot against Duke. Like the final seconds, almost made it in, and it would have I don't know if it would have been a stain on Coach K's resume, but to lose like that in the last game of the year would hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, I found it. Oh wait, were you gonna say something, Angel?
I was gonna say Gordon Hayward in college is also a good shout out for like a college basketball player because that man looked so unmenacing. Like but he was a killer, bro. He was people talk about him on the Jazz looking like the most average guy, like whooping your ass. But him in college was way worse. That did not look like a man who would dunk on you and shoot over you like constantly.
That was a white boy on the court you didn't want to see, bro.
Yo, for real.
Gordon Hayward at Butler was a problem. My favorite moment, it had to be. So this is when we were in high school. It was 2016, greatest year of all time. We had Villanova Wildcats versus the UNC Tar Heels. Last moments. It was probably, I think it was like last 10 seconds, last 7 seconds, something like that. Neither team, I don't think, had a timeout. UNC inbounds the ball, comes down, boop, boop, boop. Marcus Page, hey, hip shot, drains it, butter. Oh, crowd goes wild. I'm going crazy. Oh, Nova. Who shot this shot? Let me see, because I don't remember. Chris Jenkins. So, I think it was what's his face passed him the ball. You mentioned him earlier, Vaughn.
Dante?
Yes,
DiVincenzo?
DiVincenzo. I think he got it inbounded to him. It was a quick inbound. DiVincenzo, 2 dribbles, boom, boom, passes. Chris Jenkins, he was probably about around half court, somewhere. Hoist it. Bro, I swear that ball was in the air for so long. Boom, goes in. Game over. Oh my gosh, bro. I wanted UNC to win so bad, but that was my favorite March Madness moment. I hated Nova because I think I could be wrong, but I think it was back-to-back. At least back-to-back appearances. I don't know if it was back-to-back wins, but I just wanted Nova to lose so bad. But that was like one of the greatest moments for me in March Madness history. Because it was like 2 game winners back-to-back. It was crazy.
Yeah, like you can't. That's like the type of game you write in a movie. You know, like that shit does not happen in real life, and like to see it unfold like that in real time, it was just like I can't believe what my eyes are seeing.
See, I feel like I have a few now that I think about it because I watched 18-19 like heavily. I think I'm gonna have to go with Virginia's run in general in 2019 because
That
it was
one
like
was crazy.
Because it was like Zion was in the tournament. It was like when Duke had Zion and RJ, it was like John Morant like carrying Marquette like throughout the entire tournament. And it was just like one of the moments was like they won off of a free throw. Like a free throw won them the game, and it was like some like guy named Kyle. I don't remember like his name, but it was like I just remember he just had like a stereotypical like white boy name.
I think, bro.
Kyle Guy.
Yes,
He was
Kyle
on
Guy.
Sacramento.
see, yeah. So like I remember it was just like he just won it for them. And then I don't know who won. I'm not gonna lie, because it was like Texas Tech versus Virginia, and I just don't remember who won.
Well, I think they won that. They won that championship because
Yeah.
I think half their team ended up getting drafted.
Really,
Yeah, they had a
that's
crazy
crazy.
draft year that year.
I just remember. I also remember it so vividly because that's when they had like the court that was kind of like higher than the bench. And I remember,
Yeah,
I remember being like, they should bring that to the NBA. I don't know why, but I was obsessed with that look, bro. Seeing them like run onto the court after they won, like, was insane to see.
that is a scene though. That is a scene.
And then my other one was the last time I fully watched the March Madness was Jordan Poole's buzzer beater. Because it was such a clean like it was a nutty but net half court shot. And I was like, how in the hell did he pull that off? Like it was so clean, and it was like it took him to the Sweet 16, and it was Michigan. Like it was the last time Michigan was like a solid team, bro.
Oh,
So yeah.
I guess I gotta say another one. The one last year, bro.
True.
The Lamont buzzer beater, bro. I lived that, bro. We were going against was it like FAU or something? It was like a Florida school. I don't remember. But I think they made 2 free throws to go up 1. Or did they make and miss a free throw? I don't exactly remember. But bro comes down, Lamont, all the way, literally, all the way down the court. He's surveying his options. He doesn't have an option. So his only option is to shoot. So he gets to his spot. Boom, boom, boom. Short corner. Gate. Bumper. Cincinnati, bro. I was so lit, bro. I was in a bar with my friends, bro. Bro, it was up. I'm gonna have to send you all a video so you can throw it in the YouTube. But bro,
Yeah.
it was crazy, bro. It was wild.
You can actually watch you could watch our episodes around that time, because that's the first time we did a podcast, and like you can like seriously every time we came back, it was like you didn't like, yeah, hopefully next week we're still in it, and then like the next week you'll be like, yup, hopefully next week we're still in it. And like it like got to the championship, and he was like, I don't know how, like I don't know how it happened, but like hopefully we walk away with the ship. Like you guys beat Alabama,
Bro, we
like,
beat Bama in the Sweet 16, bro. I did not think we were gonna do that.
like it was insane how like yeah, it was just insane. I like look back on that pretty fondly because like we were just talking about it. We didn't do an episode on March Madness because we kind of like we're just like it was our first year doing it. So we just wanted to stick with NBA. But I just remember every time we would bring it up at the start of the episode, it was just be like Eugene smiling, geeking because like they somehow pulled off another like insane upset. It was so insane. So yeah, we'll definitely put that video in that Eugene talked about, but also go back and just like watch the first 5 minutes of those March episodes because like they're actually so funny to look back on. All right. Any other things you want to add, or or should we call it here?
Just a funny piece that I saw is when John Wall and Boogie were talking. I don't know if it was a podcast or what they were talking for, but they're talking about when they got eliminated from the tournament. It was them against West Virginia, and lo and behold, the man who locked up DeMarcus Cousins was a 6'2" guard. That guard was fucking Joe Mazzulla. They had him on DeMarcus Cousins and sent them home.
That's
That's
actually
funny.
insane. Joe Mazzulla has so much like lore with the NBA. Doesn't he also have beef with LeBron?
I think so.
Like this man is just like has some deep like history with these NBA players. All right. That's probably what we're gonna call it. It was supposed to be a short episode, but who like I didn't think we would have this much to say, but like it turns out we did have a lot more memories than we thought.
Hey, we be yapping, bro.
Yeah, no facts. If you are listening on Spotify or any podcast platform, make sure you give us that good old 5 stars. Leave a review. Let us know what you think about college basketball and your favorite moments, all that good stuff. We're on YouTube for video format, so make sure you like and subscribe there. We're on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock for clips and all that other good stuff. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again next week.